All right, very good. I think we're live. Welcome in. Take two here because I just recorded an entire thing without hitting go live, so that's always fun. But, anyways, I'm Dan Watkins. Thank you very much for watching. If you can do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot as I try to build my YouTube page here and figure out how I want to, move forward with this thing. But we're going to continue with our college basketball previews. We're going to talk about the Sweet 16 here, and we're going to talk about night one of the Sweet 16. We're going to get into the East and the West region, and then we'll do the South and the Midwest tomorrow. So stay tuned for that if you want some insights there with how I'm looking to bet those games as well. A little bit about me. I'm a sports anchor and reporter at WBZ News Radio in Boston. I have hosted gambling shows in the past for multiple years, DFS shows as well. So just trying to share a little bit of the things I've picked up along the way and my strategies and how I'm looking to bet these games as well. Here as we head into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, and as I talked earlier this week, and as pretty much everybody's been talking about, super chalky start to March Madness. Not a problem, in my opinion. I think we're going to get better basketball here going forward in this second weekend. Viewership is up, by the way. It's like they're hitting like record highs when it comes to TV viewers as well, which I do think is also a good sign going forward for college basketball. But this is what we've seen here with the lack of mid-majors, like no mid-majors making the Sweet 16. The SEC's dominance is all just a byproduct of the NIL era that we are in right now. And that we're still in the Wild West here, and these schools, these bigger programs are just going to be able to cherry pick talent from those mid-majors and the lesser schools and rebuild their programs quicker and get back to relevance. Like, look at Arkansas right now. They bring in Calipari, bring in some guys from the transfer portal, and here we go. They're still dancing in the second weekend as a 10 seed. Not your typical 10 seed by any means, but I do think that Arkansas right now is kind of the blueprint for the modern-day Cinderella, which is one of these teams from a major conference that finishes back in the pack kind of towards the middle part of that conference. They get their foot in the door, kind of keep that door open and get in like Arkansas did. I think that is your blueprint as your modern day Cinderella, because the mid-majors are just not going to be able to keep up. They can't spend, and it will take almost like a fluky thing for a mid-major to keep advancing here. I know Colorado State almost did. Gonzaga almost did as well, as they backdoored covered against Houston, but they didn't. And when you look at what's left here in the Sweet 16, all teams from major conferences, this is where we are right now with this sport and in this NIL era. So as we look at these teams that are left in the Sweet 16, let me just pull up KenPom here. Let me find it. Where are you, KenPom? On my screen. There we go. Very good. Look at this. Okay, so we'll scroll up. Should be no surprise that the top 8 teams remaining are all in this, or the top 8 teams in KenPom are all in the Sweet 16. Then we're kind of sprinkled here through the middle portion when it comes Maryland, Arizona, Kentucky, Purdue. A little bit of a drop off. We got Michigan, Mississippi, BYU, and then if you keep scrolling down, Arkansas comes in there at 36th. So. And also, when you look at how this tournament was set up, 12 of the top 16 teams going into the tournament have advanced. So 75% of those original top 16 teams are still playing basketball here in the second weekend. All 4 number 1 seeds have advanced. 3 of the number 2 seeds have advanced. St. John's, unfortunately for them, they do not keep dancing. They got eliminated. 2 of the 3 seeds, 3 of the 4 seeds, a 5 seed, 2 6s, and a 10 in Arkansas. But like I kind of just said, I was kind of hinting at, they are not your typical 10 seed here as they get healthier as this tournament goes on, which is a good sign for them. We'll get into the Razorbacks more when we talk about that matchup against Texas Tech later on. But let's kind of just start diving into these games here as we look at this slate for Thursday night. So let's start off with the first game, and that's BYU and Alabama. That's a 7:09 tip in Newark, New Jersey here in the East region. The winner moves on to face the winner of Duke and Arizona. How these two teams got here, BYU, they beat VCU to start off the tournament. I was on VCU, but BYU's been really impressive. They are on fire right now. The offense is clicking on all cylinders. They can get up and down the court. They're playing decent defense as well so far in this tournament. They put up 80 on a VCU team that has not allowed 80 points at all this season, so that was impressive. They kind of just outlast Wisconsin on Saturday night, and another win I thought was really impressive, as Wisconsin's been a metric darling this year. So the Cougars keep on advancing. Alabama, on the other hand, they struggled a little bit with Robert Morris in the first round, but they do ultimately get the win, obviously, to keep on moving on. And then they beat St. Mary's, where they kind of held the Gales at arm's length throughout that game. St. Mary's just didn't really have the firepower to match up with Alabama. But when we look at this matchup, BYU absolutely has the firepower to keep this game close and to keep up with Alabama here. When we look at tempo and how these two teams stack up, Alabama is the number one rated tempo team in the country, according to KenPom. BYU is in the 60s. Or actually, no, they're 178th. Excuse me, I was looking at their defensive rating. But BYU has no problem going up and down here. This is going to be a really interesting game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love that this is the first game on Thursday night. The TV execs, whoever does the scheduling and sets the TV windows and all that for when these games are being played, I think did a great job with this one, just like they did last week to start the tournament with that Creighton and Louisville game, which was a lot of fun as well. As I like this matchup a lot. I can't wait to watch this one. You got two top 10 offenses when it comes to efficiency. As we go back to KenPom here, Alabama, they come in as the fourth rated offense when it comes to offensive efficiency. BYU meanwhile, they come in at number 9. So you got two top 10 offenses there. We're going to get a lot of points. Obviously, the lines reflect that there, as the total in this one, let me scroll up if we can, is up to 175.5. And it wouldn't surprise me if they blow over this number as well, as this thing opened up at 171.5, and we've climbed over a possession, and over a basket rather, to 175.5. Now, they might threaten 200 in this game. It would not surprise me one bit. So when it comes to best bets and how I'm looking to bet this one, I get my college basketball picks from my Rhythm model. Rhythm is the place to go for data-driven props and picks. You can download the Rhythm app and get your own picks for free today. Go check that out. But my model loves BYU here in this one. The line now at 5.5. It makes the Cougars a best bet here. It says this line should be closer to 2.5. It thinks that this is a one-possession game, and we're getting over a possession of value on BYU here. When it comes to the total, I think I'm just going to stay away for now and see if these two teams, by some chance, come out a little bit sluggish and we can get this number somewhere in the 160s. But at the moment, yeah, it's got it right around like 173, 174. So that line's pretty accurate according to the model. So at that number, I'm going to stay away from this, but this will be something I'll be looking to jump in live if we can get this number down into the 160s at some point during this game. So that's something to keep an eye on. Moving on, we head on to Arizona taking on Duke. Duke is the 1 seed. Arizona is the 4 seed. The spread here is the Blue Devils favored by 9.5. Your total sitting at 153.5. How these two teams got there: Duke, been a freight train. Cooper Flagg looking pretty good. He's healthy. And when Proctor's going to hit all those three-pointers, I mean, good luck. You're not stopping him right now. As Duke just has been blowing through this tournament. They obviously blow out the 6th seed, Mount St. Mary's, and then they took Baylor out to the woodshed as well. So Duke is rolling. They're firing on all cylinders here. Kind of like what we were talking about last week, where if Duke's healthy, good luck. I mean, just pray. That's really all you can do at this point if you want to stop Duke right now. So Arizona, on the other hand, they beat Akron, and then they come from behind to beat Oregon in a game that they had a sleepy start in as well. If Arizona is going to play like they did against Oregon in the first half, I know they actually were winning going into the halftime, but if they get down double digits early against Duke, I just don't think Arizona's going to be able to climb back, because Duke's going to keep hitting their shots. That's just how I feel going into this one. Would love to know how you guys feel if you want to leave a comment below. But I don't think Arizona is going to be able to keep it up here unless they come out hot right from the start. So these two teams met earlier this season in Tucson. Duke went in there and won by 14 points or something like that. They won by double digits. No problem there. As that was also when Arizona was starting off a little shaky, which leads me into my bigger point, which is what Arizona team's going to show up on Thursday night. Are we going to get the one that came from behind and played a great second half against Oregon? Are we going to get the one that made the Big 12 championship game as they kind of tore through the conference there before ultimately losing to Houston? Are we going to get the team that played a great stretch in the middle of conference play in the Big 12? Or are we going to get the one that started off the season 1-4 and also fell down early to Oregon, and the team that kind of hit a little bit of a skid there to end the season, end the regular season anyway? So really just a little perplexed by what Arizona team is going to show up. And that, I think, is reflected in this line here, as Arizona is, according to ESPN, the biggest underdog, or no, they are the third largest underdog for being a top 4 seed in the Sweet 16 since 2000. Now, some silver lining there is that one of those teams was actually able to pull off a win. That was Arkansas just 3 years ago when they beat Gonzaga. But other than that, teams, when they're this big of dogs, just have not been pulling off the upsets there. So really interesting look there, and just how historically good this Duke team is, which a lot of people have been talking about this season. When it comes to best bets in this one, I'm staying away right now. Even though I do think Duke wins this game. Do they cover? I'm not sure. It's going to depend on which Arizona team shows up. And like I was mentioning, I might look to jump in on Duke Live at some point with Duke there if you don't want to take that opening number. Maybe you'll be able to get a little bit of a better number, but we'll see how that looks. And then the model does lean under in this game, so the total's sitting at 153.5 right there. The model does have this coming in at 151, which was the opening number. So maybe they hit some shots early and we can get a little bit of a better number there too. But this is a stay away spot. These lines seem very tight at this point. Moving on, let's head to the West region. Let's talk about this first game, which is Maryland and Florida, the 4 seed, the Maryland Terps, the Crab 5, taking on the Florida Gators and Todd Golden in that offense. I love the story with Todd Golden, such a great narrative, taking his Gators team back to San Francisco, which was where he started his head coaching career with the Dons. He was the head coach there for 3 or 4 years before moving on to Gainesville. But now, in order to get to his first Final Four, he has to win 2 games back in San Francisco. So just a really cool story there that I like. That really probably won't have much of an impact on this game. But anyways, how these two teams got there, Florida is trying to become the first team since I think the 1997 Arizona Wildcats to win the national championship without covering either of their first 2 games in the tournament. The Gators let Norfolk State hang around. They won that one by 20. The spread was closer to 30 points in that one. And then the 2-time defending champs in just a fantastic game Sunday afternoon, back and forth. UConn ends up covering that one as like a 9.5-point dog. Florida, I think, ended up winning by 2 points in that one after a meaningless last-second shot, unless you were betting on that one. It was meaningless. 77-75, I believe the final was. But the big question here is, can Maryland contain the Gators? And when you look at their defenses and how they stack up, KenPom seems to think, or how he has these teams rated, that Maryland will be able to hang around here defensively and maybe limit Florida a little bit, as they have the 6th rated defense when it comes to efficiency, according to KenPom. Florida has that number 2 rated offense. They're top 10 in defense. Maryland has the 22nd rated offense as well. This line is sitting at 6 points right now. Look, Maryland, they in the first round, they had no problem with Grand Canyon, who couldn't hit a shot to save their life. Second round, they have to come back from down double digits to beat Colorado State. They need a buzzer beater to do it. I just think that, the way Maryland's been playing this season, they've flirted with, been playing with fire, a lot this year. A couple of buzzer beaters have gone against them. They've had, obviously, the one that just went in their favor on Sunday night, but I don't know if they're going to be able to put together a 40-minute effort against this Florida team. So when I look at the model, the model has the Gators favored by 8.5 here, so that does qualify as a best bet for me. I am laying 6 points with the Florida Gators. Let me just pull up so you can see that line. There we go. Yeah, so there's a couple of 6.5s out there. This opened up at 4.5. It's up to 6. Still like it at 6. I am playing it at 6 on Caesars here for this Sweet 16 matchup. All right, let's talk about this final game, and that's Texas Tech and Arkansas. Arkansas is the 10 seed, not your typical 10 seed, as they're getting 5.5 points here against the Red Raiders. How these two teams got here, Arkansas, as I talked about a little bit, really impressive. Going up to Providence, beating Bill Self in Kansas in the first game, and then taking care of business against St. John's in the second one, in what was pretty much a wire-to-wire effort there. Really impressive. Arkansas is getting healthy, with Thero expected to come back here this weekend. Boogie Flan came back last week. Didn't really do much when it comes to the box score, but just his impact being on the court is noticeable there for the Razorbacks. Texas Tech, meanwhile, they kind of, played with their food a little bit, I want to say, against UNC Wilmington, as Wilmington was able to hit some shots there and keep that one closer. But what really impressed me over the weekend for Texas Tech was how they beat Drake, who is a very, very quality mid-major school. They were able to advance without hitting their three-pointers, which is a big part of their offense. I think they shot under 30% from three-point range in that one. So I was really impressed with Texas Tech and how they beat Drake without being able to hit their three-pointers. This game's going to be gritty. They're going to grind it out here. We got that 5.5 total, so sitting within 2 possessions. And then when it comes to the total, we are looking at let me hang on, 148.5. So it's climbed up from the 144. Big question here is can Texas Tech win another game if they don't have that three-point shot falling out in San Francisco on Thursday night? And this Razorback team's getting healthy too. The model has this line right. The line is at 5.5. The model says Texas Tech wins this game by 5.6 points. So that line is right. Staying away from that one. If we can get Texas Tech within a possession at some point, I might look to jump on here. But the total is a little bit of a stronger lean from the model. It has this game coming in at 147. Maybe if these two teams do come out kind of hot, we can get this over 150 at some point. And then that would be another look there for me as well. But no official play for me right now going into this game on Thursday night. It will once again be something that I'm looking to play live. So when it comes to my best bets, as I mentioned, I use Rhythm. Go check that out. We're taking the 5.5 with BYU. So BYU plus 5.5, and we are laying the 6 with Florida. Those are my 2 plays right now. Heading into Thursday night, you can follow me on the Action Network page at Dan Watkins. If I'm looking to add any more plays, I will post them there on the Action Network page. Maybe I'll have some more to lock in by tomorrow when it comes to these games for Thursday night when I do my preview for the Friday show. But right now, that's all we're looking at. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this content and want to support it, just hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much as I look to continue to build this YouTube page. But thank you once again for watching. Good luck on your bets. Enjoy watching basketball, and I will be back tomorrow to talk about the Friday games in the Sweet 16.